Welcome to Monetizing Your Podcast. I'm going to go over a presentation I did at PodFest 2025 in January of how we explained we went from an idea basically to 60K in revenue year one in our podcast for Never Been Promoted. So I presented this in the monetization tracks at the conference at PodFest 2025. Great. If you're a podcaster, you need to go to that conference. Fantastic for it. So let's get into this a little bit of how we went from zero to 60K in 1 year. Let's go to the strategy. We're going to go over some of the techniques we did as well. And if you get a minute, just, before we get going, guys, just in case you lose your place, just hit the subscribe button here on YouTube so you can come back to it. We do lots of great content, and we do about 5 shows a week live at least as well. So join in, do this. Let's dive right into how to do this. All right. So today I'm going to teach you, I hope you can learn how to monetize your podcast from the beginning, from day one. Our idea is to use the idea and the power of community, of belonging, and the value from that. With some innovative kind of marketing techniques as well, you could transform kind of what you're doing in your podcast today or what you're about to start into this real revenue generating asset from day one. All right. You need to know where to focus first and foremost. So you need to be able to do 3 things in your podcast to really sustain, to have enough duration to do it, to really be focused, to really make money doing it. First and foremost, you have to have a high passion for what it is you're talking about. It's got to be so passionate driven that you'll never run out of energy. So for me, I am just so into having entrepreneurs be successful and more of them in the world. It's one of the hardest things you can do and the most rewarding things you can do. So I have an incredibly high passion to see more kids get into it, more young adults, people in mid-age, people who have been corporate, anybody who wants to get out of working for others and build something. Also proficiency. So you got to be pretty good at podcasting. You got to be pretty good, maybe if not in the space that you're talking about. You have to have a way to get better. And finally, you need to have impact. This creates profit. It's a little hard to read on the slide, but if you have impact, if you have a marketplace where people actually want and buy what you do, what you have a passion for, you'll be able to make money. So if you don't know where to focus, those 3 things are the first step. You got to make sure those 3 things are in place. Somebody will buy the stuff. You're really good at doing this stuff, and you have a high passion for it. All right. If you don't have this, you're going to really struggle to do lots of things, but in particular, you're going to have struggle to make money into a podcast. All right. So our strategy, I'm actually going back to 2023 when we formulated strategy for 2024 was to position our podcast as like a top tier platform that empowers entrepreneurs to cut ties to limiting beliefs and everything holding them back. Our idea is we want them to unleash their entrepreneur. We have a little cut tie, a little metaphor. And we were going to leverage 3 things we had as assets, which is my marketing agency, Instantly Relevant, the podcast itself and YouTube channel called Never Been Promoted, and a future community that's launched in 2025 called Cut the Tie. It's a mastermind community. The core approach behind that was combining authentic storytelling and these really kind of practical insights, reflective moments when our guests are speaking on the show, to be able to show that, to drive that mission to help understand how to cut a tie to something that was holding them back and how they overcame it. We are a guesting strategy. We bring on guests into our podcast, and we downstream, we'll talk about community of how that evolves. But our approach and a core approach with that was to make sure that the conversations was storyteller driven, it was mission driven, it was on point, and we don't get off brand too bad. The strategy really was to be around, to have strategic guests, meaning like the guests that are coming in aren't just random. They're entrepreneurs that are likely in need of a community, and they are buying into this idea that they get to be part of something bigger. There are services and people around them that could help them. They could help others. The strategy was to have people buy into that value. Now, if you are a single show, meaning like you do solo shows, and you're considering doing guesting, this is one way you can do it. Even if you're a show that you go by yourself, just you're soloing, you still can create a community that people could join. A mastermind, start with a free one. There's a bunch of strategies. So if you're not doing this, this is a downstream thing you consider. Just remove, as we talk about it through the day, remove the guest. If you are thinking of doing guesting, bringing on people to your show, or you're already doing it, this should really work well for you. All right, step 1, back to the define the mission and the build a brand. Our mission is to empower entrepreneurs to cut the tie to everything holding them back so they can unleash their full potential, to unleash that entrepreneur within them. Our brand was really clear, red, white, and blue. And we wanted to make sure that the tie was cut as a metaphor that, get out of corporate, cut ties that crap holding you back, get out there and just solve problems, go move forward, stop limiting your beliefs and the things that you think to be real, things that you just hold on to, you don't need to. We want you to get better at entrepreneurship. It's hard. No need to get tied up on things that you don't need to. Focus on that. Focus on a mission that people can get behind. Get a brand that people can identify with, and it's novel. It gets people to ask questions. For example, if you see me live in person at an event around Never Been Promoted, I will be in this shirt or a version of the shirt and a tie. If you saw me at PodFest or you saw me at any other conferences around this, the whole week I wore the same thing. People come up to me and understood what that brand was. They've seen me before, and every time you see me live on the channel, I will be in this. Incredibly important to stay on brand. You pick yours and you make it something that's memorable and it's related to your mission. Step 2, focus on high value content. So make sure you're not creating crap. Make sure the guests you have coming on are really compelling. They have relatable stories. They don't have to be super famous. They can just be the average Joe, just like anybody else. But make sure that they are able to do the podcast well. They can speak. They understand what their space is, they understand what their expertise is, and they understand what the problems they are to solve it. It has to align with your podcast mission. So that content that you create, it becomes kind of the canonical, the point, the top of where you are going to take the content and go downstream with it. But if you focus on the high value content and the guests coming in that really can add value to your mission, you've got everything you need to make the social media posts and everything that's going to happen below it. And make sure when you're doing this high value content, you're delivering really actionable insights and practical things that people can take away from your podcast. This is really important because it'll help drive that mission that people feel like they get something from the show. All right. When they come on the show, step 3, our show is free. You can always apply. If you've been asked to apply, you'll get on at some point, but there are hundreds, if not thousands now of people that are on a list of people who didn't pick a sponsored path. What we do is offer the free route, but give people the opportunity and a few options to sponsor their own show. And we do this using the Alex Hormozi's principles of really an offer so great. How could you possibly say no to it? You feel stupid saying no. Our method, because we had some assets, I have a really good LinkedIn following. I have the ability to create content at scale. We created some offers that were no-brainers. We made sure that people had incredible exposure just beyond the podcast itself, with 36,000 or so people on LinkedIn, about 9,000 people on a newsletter for LinkedIn, all US, all people that are entrepreneurs, marketers, people with money. We have 50,000 across other social. We've grown up to 1 million on social media for YouTube. For YouTube followers. So when people come sponsor their show, they're going to get promoted on a massive scale. We make sure we also gave them options to do extended reach, meaning we could do it just for a week. We could do it for a month, 3 months, 6 months. They got to choose. They also got, it's incredible access that we don't talk about as much quite yet, but they get access, and if they do really well on the show, I'm interviewing them. I'm getting to know them. They're going to get invited into Cut the Time Mastermind community, which is an invite-only community. They get access to things they couldn't have got, and then they're getting also promoted at the same time. It's a no-brainer because they get to have this great conversation and all these assets to leverage, and it's all inspired of how they got there through the ideas of Alex Hormozi. Now, if you don't know Alex Hormozi, he's really great content about entrepreneurship, and if you don't know how his offers work, you can buy his book called $100 Million Offers, or $100 Million Offers, or GPT knows it pretty well. You can use GPT to kind of get through it as well. All right, let's keep going. Step 4. You want to maximize the actual guest experience when they're on your show, before, during, and after, to create value for them. So pre-episode, we make sure we have like a 15-minute interaction. We get to know them a little bit. We start getting their personalities. We start understanding why they're there, why they want to get promoted on the show, why they want to talk. So when you come into the show, you're better prepared to make it a better experience for them. And during the episode, you keep it light. You make the conversations thoughtful, somewhat obviously on mission, on point, but somewhat maybe deeper, where people feel like connected to their story. They understand the pain or the celebration. You want to make sure that people are really there. They can imagine it. It's through storytelling. It's through really good questions, and it takes some preparation, it takes some time and talent to, do this as a podcast interviewer. But just do it. You'll get better at it if you don't do it great now. Listen to others. But this is some of the value add you got to be able to do, is drive a really good conversation that's not boring. Finally, post episode, you got to make sure that you have good support. You got to make sure that you have the value to answer their questions, send them the things you've promised them. So when people sign up with us, they get a Stanley, they get this, they get that, they get, all these digital magazine cover write-up we do on neverbeenpromoted.com. They get a bunch of stuff. Make sure that post episode that you get time with them to understand how it went, get reflection, ask them to follow. For example, my only call to action during this video, it started off with subscribe, but I really want you to follow the podcast on Apple or Spotify. Just hit the follow button. I don't expect you to listen to an episode now. When they get done with their show, I ask them, please hit follow on Spotify or Apple. Here's the link. And if they say, yeah, I'll absolutely do that. It's like, if you really liked it, here's a link to how to do the review. You got to step people through a post episode to create value on your end and on theirs. Now, step 5, it says utilize instantly relevant teams for scale and quality. Now, I don't want to make that as a pitch. We did that. We used an outsourced partner, my marketing agency, to deliver all the content. So it was really good, and I could do lots of shows. Now, we did over 300 shows. I only signed up with my team, so to speak, to say, hey, we're going to do 50, one a week. So many people signed up, we had to do more. I'll explain that a little bit later. But I couldn't have done that without knowing that I had scale. So for you, if your value proposition is, hey, I'm going to make you post, if you're going to follow the same method we did, we're going to help you do promotions, we're going to create articles, we're going to create blog posts, and you're going to do it yourself, it'll slow your scale. You'll probably keep your quality up. But if you want to get really good at this, where you're just knocking out show after show after show, which helps your downloads, helps your metrics, at some point, you're going to have to invest some of the money that the guests are sponsoring you with to get the content made, to get things produced. This is super important. It's a step that you're going to have to make decisions on based on where you are in your income cycle. But the earlier you can get outsourced partners, Fiverr, Upwork, Friends, whatever, or instantly relevant, the better you'll do to be able to focus on that mic. My goal in step 5 specifically was I want to be on the mic, not making content. I don't want to be writing blogs. I want my teams to create the images, the thumbnails, all that stuff. I want to be on the mic. Step 6. Downstream services. That's how you monetize bigger numbers. I'll go through some of the results a little bit later, but we collect the guest sponsorships, 1, to identify the people who are really serious about joining our community and getting behind our mission. 2, it helps pay for all the production and all the advertisements. We actually take an approach, and I'll explain in the next step, but that we invest it back in. But we want to make sure that downstream we have something we can offer them. And for us, it's the mastermind community of Cut the Tie. But it's also some services we do with LinkedIn through marketing and strategy and other marketing services. This is very core because I don't have to sell them anything at all. They discover some of this through conversation of what we do for them. And that downstream services is super important because as you're interviewing them, as they're getting to know you, as they see you produce this show and see what you're building, they begin to trust you. And they should, because you're doing a good job for them. And they want to know, what else do you do? Great step. It's actually where you'll make your most money. All right, so step 7, I've talked about this a little bit. Reinvesting revenue for growth. In our model, because I have a company that makes money, we reinvested all the money we could back into the community. So about half went to production, paying for teams, paying for advertisements and stuff like this. The other half got brought back into the community to create additional content, additional value to the guests. So they felt like they got more than they bargained for. The reason is because I am looking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road at this community of Cut the Tie and what we're doing with Never Been Promoted, and less so as it is a revenue generation source for me to take in pocket. You have to make your own decision with that, but I will say the more that you can invest back into your community and the longer you do that, the more dividends it will pay, think compound interest in the future. This will also help you achieve more social media proof milestones. So by us doing this, this helped us, go get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube globally, and also then a top 5% global rating on Listen Notes by getting more episodes out and doing more investment back into the community itself. Step 8 is really have a long-term relationship focus in building this community. When I meet with our guests, it is the first of many conversations we will have. I look at them as people that I now work with. I look at people that become friends. They become part of a bigger community network where I has ongoing engagement. It's not a one and done transaction. The idea is I want to facilitate connections amongst our other guests. You want to start tying it together so people feel like they belong, just like you said. Build a community where you bring people together. I bring in competitors onto our show from some of the marketing services we do because they do it differently. And they're awesome people and they do it really well. So I can support, I can talk about, I can do the things that they need to make their business better. Bring people together that help other people. Now, step 9, you have to continuously refine and scale. So every 90 days, we look at the show. We say, how can we improve it? How can I make this more impactful, more must download, more just better for the guest, more and more? We do this because if we didn't do it, it would be stagnant. It would not have grown. You don't know as much 90 days ago than you did today. And you'll continually do this. Look for ways to scale with automation where appropriate, AI where appropriate, other people, and better ways to maybe even run your show so you don't have wasted time on air. You want to expand that reach wherever you can by doing partnerships, bartering. We trade things all the time with other guests. Say, hey, some of them make them landing pages. We'll go out there and do stuff for LinkedIn. Be smart with it, but expand your reach, tie your network together, build that community, but always make it a, a thing you're going to do and schedule for, something that's thoughtful, conscious, and premeditated to say, I'm going to look at this, refine what we're doing about every 90 days. All right, number 10, deliver measurable results. Make sure what you're delivering is good, even great, at the least good. Make sure that you can show the audience how they got engagement, how many views, did they get leads? Ask them for the feedback so they can see where they can, where we can improve things. You got to make sure you're just being credible with like a money back guarantee offer and some things like that. And if people really weren't happy, send them money. We did not have to give a single refund last year because we delivered everything we promised. And there's a few that didn't go great, so we just reshot it. We redid it. We redid everything for it. We made it right. Make sure you're always doing measurable results for the people that are sponsoring your show and the people you're bartering with. Make it actionable, make it measurable, and continually collect that data because it's important for the improvement process as well. All right, 2024 results. We did over 60,000 in guest sponsors. That's people coming on the show. Did every person pay? No. There are some influencers that came on that I just wanted to have on because I enjoyed their time. Some of the notables were like, Wes Bergman from one of the bigger reality shows from, I think, Real World Austin, The Challenge. Like, he didn't pay. There's others that came on that are authors that were, they have millions of downloads in their books. You got to be strategic on who should pay, who shouldn't. Other podcasters almost never pay because I want to go on their show. We just do swaps. People that are in businesses that are trying to do marketing and grow their stuff, they typically want to come on and they pay because they want an advertisement. Downstream services produced over $100,000 of revenue just in year one, and it'll be more than that compounded as they do ongoing services. It produced 3 TV appearances. So the big reveal, Boom America, these are things that Kevin Harrington has done with the original. He's one of the original Shark Tank guys, part of his A-Team now. So when he does a shoot, we come down, we meet with his guests. There's even On the Block season 18, which is Wes Bergman's baby, and it's an entrepreneurial reality show competition. Over 1 million subscribers, as we had said, and over 4 million views and growing. And we did top 5% on listen notes in the first year, and over 300 episodes recorded. We only released about 180 in the first year or so, and we're knocking out about 5 a week now, and we're going to continue that going forward. All right, 2025 is really all about where 2024 was all about never been promoted and building the podcast and the brand. 2025 shifts to never been promoted plus cut the tie community. So we're going to involve a lot more influencers, a lot of, more known people into the story, into the podcast. We'll add some more download metrics to attract the corporate sponsors as our downloads get better and better. This is the more traditional CPM model. We will do some affiliate marketing as well with that. The community is everything. So we're going to add extreme value in the first year for sure and continue it moving forward for cut the tie. So that means the people who get in will get in for less, but they'll get way more than anybody else is ever going to get ever. In-person events like PodFest, we did in person. We're going to do more of those. And then as we look to the thing, we're going to do more guesting. I'm going to go on more shows. So last year was all about coming on my show and getting ready. We're going to go on other shows, and we're going to promote other people's shows as well as we become part of their adventure. These are the actual offers that we do for people to get on our show. Now, I will go through these in person if you'd like to, if you reach out. But from Skip the Line to VIP 3, we've sold those anywhere from $150 to $1,000, from $500 to almost $5,000. Our prices go up as we have less availability on the show, and we continually add more and more and more to the VIP 3. VIP 3 is where you want people to go. The reason is because I want them to immediately become part of the mastermind community. This is where you get it. VIP 3 gets you into the inner circle. It gets you to where you actually want to go, and it gets you a ton of advertisement and a ton of interactions and a ton of access. This was done. These are the kind of roll-ups. We used, like I said, the Alex Hormozy 100 million offers, kind of a formula to do this. Your own version of this, it will grow. It's important to note that as we've added more capability, more value, the offer improves. We didn't have the same offer on day 1 as we did at day 90, day 180, day 270, and so on. Continually involve your offers, add value, and you can raise your prices. All right, since this is a YouTube video, I can't do Q&As like I did this is actually the presentation I did at the conference. But if you'd like to schedule some time with me, grab it. If you made it this point and you want 30 minutes with me and you're serious about, either becoming a VIP guest, monetizing your podcast, you want to see the offers, maybe I'm coming on to yours, you want to join the Cut the Tie community, you just want to work with me, scan that, book time, but be serious about it. Don't come in there unprepared. Come in there ready to have a conversation about how I can help you grow for real. If you want to join the group for free, facebook.com/group/cut the tie is how you get on there. And if none of those work, you just kind of have some other questions, just email us. Or actually, I will reply to that one at contact@cutthetie.com. Thank you. Listen, get out there. I want you to go try to monetize your show. And if this helps you do this through a guesting way, awesome. I really hope you get value from it. I want more podcasters. It's a form of entrepreneurship. I want more of you out there. I want you doing kicking ass, adding value and chasing your dreams and becoming everything you wanted to become. Thank you for listening. Get going. And I'll say what I say every time. Go out there and unleash your entrepreneur.